Good evening, guys. Uh, I'm having a beer. Been one of those weeks, days, years, I suppose. Despite saying that, despite COVID, 2020 has actually been well. My 2019 was horrible, so 2020 is absolutely amazing. Uh, well, I'm gonna stop talking about it 'cause it's not, and I know a lot of people have had miserable years and it's been tough. But I guess the positives, it brought me to trading. Um, which is what I'm going to talk about tonight. So, just to recap today, I only took a couple of tickers today. CNSP, just like the low float du jour, piece of shit. I took it at 440 and then just stopped out at like 426. So I was just looking for a break of just because it's low flow, trading like really high volume. You can see it's 40 million now. Um, some nonsense news. I'm all right with that trade. I thought it was in play, and yeah, didn't work out. I suppose in hindsight, should have been shorting it. Um, I guess the issue with it is so looking at the daily, it's a pretty miserable daily. As well, most charts look pretty miserable when you look at them on a daily point of view, but it does have some resistance. Um, but I thought if it squeezed, it would go, and just didn't. And I was looking, obviously, like with all these trades, most of these trades, just looking for 50 cents, a buck, and would be really happy with that. Don't really have too much to say on it, to be honest. Like, yeah, it's just it just failed spectacularly, and obviously in hindsight, I wish I had shorted, but I'm just looking at the volumes, absolutely uh, incredible. But just I don't know, is it a short? Don't know. I'd have to speak to someone about that because obviously, like in hindsight, it absolutely is a short. But whether I could have foreseen that at the time and avoided it, was actually one of like at the time was actually something that I was quite looking forward to. Like this play in general, I kind of quite liked this, and I even like after I got out, quite liked the dip. I was hoping it was going to pull into some strength and then rip at some point. So just looking for it to dip down here, form a base, and then just start perking up, perking up, perking up, and then as it broke 450, to the moon. Obviously, I'm joking because this is probably a very average company that is not going to the moon. I just featured on really awesomely. I was just chatting to Stephen Johnson, Jonk 87, and he invited me onto his live webinar. Absolutely awesome conversation. Like I got so much out of it. A real buzz from that. What a top, lovely bloke. I'll put the link down anyway. What a bloke. What an absolute bloke. But one thing he said is make sure you're looking at dailies, and dailies are basically looking at the year chart on a day basis. And what we're the best charts are those that are basically have just got sky in front of them. So if this breaks to like say this did break to $6, then it's just got pure sky in front of it. And the reason why that's good is because you don't want people who have been holding from April, who have bought in at let's just say 560, they've seen it like bottom out to $2, they've lost thousands of dollars, and now they're seeing it at 6. They're like, I want to get out, because at any spike this goes up, people from this day back in April, they're just going to sell because they're like, shit, I can get break even. I can get break even, and they just see that as a positive. And I suppose, to be honest, it absolutely is a positive. And this is what we talk about when we talk about bag holders. Someone who bought around this 5 level and have just held it this whole time. And that's one thing that's key is like that we always chat about is just cut your losses. So I got in at 440 and I was out at 426. And like because that trade didn't work, it's easy to say it's a bad trade. But looking at this chart, like don't know, I'm pretty. Well, I'm really happy with that because I don't want to be here at 280, having bought in at 440, and if it did rip again, I can buy again. Like, that's the beauty of it, and I'm taking like a small loss. Went real small size with this one, taking a small loss, and well, you've got opportunities, and like if it did go, I know I'd make money from it. So the ticker that I really want to talk to you about is MREO, which is an odd one because pre-market, like, it didn't really do anything. So it looked like it was just going to fade and not be that eventful. It's really high float, so it's got nearly 70 million shares in play. And like you can see here, so these are the highest candle, the most volume it traded in 1 minute was just over 300k. Now compare that to CNSP, which is low float, less than 7 million, and it's the opening candle, it traded over 1 million. So it traded 1/6 of its stock, of its float, within 1 minute. Now, obviously things change quite quick. All of a sudden there's this volume surge. And I wasn't looking at this, and I was really happy to ignore it at 350 here. I thought, oh, it's not going to go. Because like, I guess I had the wrong mindset in terms of I was like evaluating it based off this low volume. And then all of a sudden, like, there's this kick up in volume. All of a sudden it does start trading like over 1 million a candle. And this is a 1 minute chart. All of a sudden it does start kicking in. Now, I should have instantly been thinking, actually, this has potential to break. Now, I guess the point about entry would be, I guess this is what I just spoke to Jonk about, which is interesting. So he's talking about, he thinks, and he suggested this level is a really good level to enter. So you're talking like 325-ish, because the highest volume candle before that, well, there isn't any significant volume in pre-market. This is the point he makes, and I really like it. There isn't any significant volume in pre-market. So I'm not saying disregard them, but don't necessarily need to take into account those levels. But all of a sudden we see this spike, peaks up, and then it doesn't fade. It holds VWAP and then re-breaks. So actually, like, there's strong buy signals. So you can buy here at 325 or 350 and should be riding this up. I didn't. I actually was kind of like, I want to short this, and that's what I did. And I did it to like a small. I don't know. I didn't really do it successfully. I gotta be frank. And the reason why I didn't do it successfully was because I tried shorting it on this. So I thought this was the high of 4, pull back to a lower high. I shorted it around here, and obviously it failed. So I did cut reasonably quick. So I did, like, should I cut quicker? Yeah, absolutely should have. Absolutely should have cut quicker. And that's a real strong lesson learned, because the one thing I'm realizing with shorting is the cut quick, re-enter. And that just seems like a really good strategy, because you don't want to get burned. Because although it stopped at 425, you don't want to be you're only riding it if it suddenly goes sky high. So my plan was to try and, well, my plan at the time was to like let it hit a high, pull back, set a new lower high. So my idea was to short around 415. I'd kind of felt burnt from the previous short that I failed on. So I was like really nervous about this one. I then didn't take the shot, but hand on my heart was what I was thinking, 415. Anyway, I didn't take it, annoyingly, and obviously did all this. I did, though, like, get that FOMO trade that I tend to get where I don't take the shot. And like, it's a bit like, I don't know, football or whatever. Like, you got an open goal, but instead you try and, like, instead of taking the shot, you just go for a dribble, and then all of a sudden all the defense are back, and then you shoot. when you've got like a much less of a chance of scoring. So I did suddenly I did pull up. I did take a shot around. I think it was like 380, and I did ride it down to VWAP at 355. So that was a winning trade. So I'm really pretty happy with that. As it was like sort of holding and hugging VWAP, I was a bit nervous that it might then squeeze again. But like I should have been convicted. Like most of these, and like talking to Jonka about it, like he's got a lot of data. He's got data that knows this fails, and he got a much better cover than me. And I think even he wasn't particularly happy with his cover. But anyway, that's on the video if he wants to talk. If he talks about it. One thing that I didn't do that, like in hindsight, and after talking to John about, I'm incredibly frustrated with, is I didn't really pay much attention to. I looked at the 1 year, but I didn't really like think too much about it. I just saw that like. So my logic at the time was, okay, it's got to 425. That's the high. It's got there. Well, I didn't even really. I got to be honest. I didn't really twig that it was on pretty low volume. But I did twig that this typically fails. You can see here these long wicks here. So we know long wicks. We know it spikes and then it fails and it comes down hard. So I knew that there was going to be like a strong decline on the backside of the move, but I didn't pay enough attention to this 425. So now I know this. I should have been more convicted, particularly around the 415 level. I should have been more convicted because I remember at the time I was thinking buyers are drying up. If I'd known that, if I really twigged that 425 is the absolute max that it got to earlier in the year, then look what happens today. 425 again. Now, again, like it's something that's just been explained to me, like I didn't fully comprehend at all. And the reason why is because like shorts will have piled in heavily around 420, 425, and I should have been more convicted that that was the level, because if I'd done that, then I could have, even if I got in for like 415, I think going for a safer option of a lower high with a risk on it breaking 425. If it breaks 425, like um, it goes like pretty. It will. Who knows where the sky is then? And this is what I'm talking about at the beginning of the video. Like if you've got blue sky above 425 is blue sky, so who knows where the top is? But at the moment, it's got a top 425, and so like I guess it's important. Like so, my bank balance hasn't got better today, but do I feel like I've got 1% better? Yeah, absolutely. Do I enjoy shorting these backsides? Like, I kind of do. I actually do. And I think like the good thing about it is you sort of enter. You've got a strong belief, and there's a lot of support out there that it will fade. And you just look this peak in volume here, and look at the volume for the rest of the day. It's like barely got over a million, and it's actually trading at the lower levels of earlier in the day. So, and we do tend to see this time and time again. Now, the pattern that I'm often trying to play is I just want to take a piece of this move on the way up, um, and I'm happy with it. And I'm just sort of playing with things. Like, but had I just shorted it at, you're probably never going to get the top. But I expect a lot of people that I probably should have been more convicted. Like I said, I should have been more convicted that shorts are going to pile in. And so much of like this, so much of trading is like, obviously a lot of it is about being analytical, but so much of it is also about the psychology and just thinking, what are people thinking? And I should have been thinking at 425, longs are going to be getting, people who are long who want the stock to go higher are going to be getting slightly nervous. And that's because they know that this has got a ceiling and they don't know whether it's going to break the ceiling. At the same time, you've got that phenomena coupled with shorts know there's a ceiling, so they'd be like, right, time to short. Ceiling's here, time to short. This isn't going to go higher. So And the frustrating thing with this, I suppose, if I had known, like, this is such a perfect setup for a really low risk play, because you could short it. So just say anything above 4, um, you could short it with a view to that. Even if say it's at 350, you could short it. Say you short it at 415, you're risking like 10 cents, so 15 cents. But the downside is massive. Like, I don't know what it's going to finish up at, but it has been as low as 320. You know, it's still 50, it's still 60% up, so it's still got more room for it to fall. Although the fact that it's consolidating is, you know, I'd be a little bit concerned here. Um, so yeah, like 1% better. I've completely lost my trail of thought there. As you know, with these videos, guys, I'm recording it once. It's not scripted, and I'm just sort of out loud saying my thoughts. So definitely, I feel 1% better today, and I just hope that I get to a point where all of a sudden, like, it just starts to click. But this was I tried something new today, and actually, like, again, it's like, you know, take the shot, because I had a really strong thesis that 415, a lower high, um, was a good entry point to short this down the backside. And you know, we talk about, like, when we're longing, we want 50 cents like a buck. When we're looking at like a $4 stock, that's like a significant portion of the move if it's a high percentage play, and it just feels like you can do exactly the same down the backside. So, but all in all, like, you know, the important thing is percent better every day. All right, I'm enjoying a beer. I'm enjoying a beer now. No, it's really good. Like I said, I always do these videos. Like, I'm just trying to analyze my plays, and if anyone out there does benefit from it, then great. Like the chat in Discord, with a small group of us, it's a really buoyant chat. It's really good, and we're just sort of talking through ideas. And one of the great things about this world of trading is that, you know, there's a lot of really nice people out there actually want, you know, who want other people to do well. Equally, the hard thing about it is that, like, it's like, you know, starting a new job and not having a boss to tell you what to do, or not having a mentor to tell you what to do. So that's why I've just been trying to reach out, and you know, I'm really glad. I think I was just giving, like, John a bit of shit at times. I didn't really mean it to be like that, but anyway, he turned around and said, like, "Come on, let's have a chat," in a really lovely way, and just absolutely really enjoyed it. Anyways, guys, I'm not done for the weekend, and yeah, I'm still, you know, we still got like an hour, but there's nothing really, like. So I was looking at SL. So the interesting, like, talking about, pardon me, just want to talk about FCEL actually, because you look at the daily, the previous high was around 920, and one of the things I've heard a lot of traders say is, when the dailies and the intraday align, that's when you get moves, or the bigger moves. So we see that 920 is the previous high, and then obviously it pulled back and has some green days, and it's FCEL looks pretty strong, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised if it does, if this momentum does continue. But then if we look at the daily, look at the intraday, you see here it hit the ceiling. It hit the ceiling of 920, pulls back, and then breaks it. So 920 was such a good break, and look, you would have had a, you know, I don't know, you wouldn't have had huge upset, but it's still 50 cents there, and that's still like a high probability play. And you know, where else can you know, for a high probability, can you make 50 cents in, you know, in the comfort of your, you know, your chair? Obviously, I know there's risks. So 920, you'd risk it. You risk it back down to VWAP, because that's where it found support. So it found support at VWAP. You do the same this time. So if it pulled back to VWAP and then broke VWAP, you'd pull it out. So you'd be risking like 20 cents to win 50 or so, I suppose, 2.5 to 1. So not quite the 3, but like, often we would you could expect this move to be slightly bigger. I think it was running off the back of Blink, which just started pulling back a little bit, so maybe that affected like the whole sector. Anyways, I've rambled on for too long as I normally do. Peace.